Here again, I am on another Tuesday for a court teaching. And I'm going forward in the teaching of the Black theology in South Africa. I'll be teaching today on the roots of the Black theology in South Africa. But before I commence, I want to appreciate all my subscribers, all my viewers, for being so good to me. Your birthday wishes, your appreciation in celebrating my platinum 70th birthday with me. I'm a week older than 70 now because last Tuesday, March 21st, was my 70th birthday. And I can see how many people took their time to view the count up to my 70 and to send me individual messages. I thank you all. Today, like I said, I'm teaching on the roots of Black theology in South Africa. But before I go ahead, I like to share the Lanwi Jones advert with you. Just hold on for me while I share it. Thank you. I'm not going to take much of your time today. You can even see me that I myself am relaxing rather than be in the library or where I normally teach. I'm lying on bed just to relax. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I'm okay. But I need to continue to teach. And like you know me, that I love to show my presentation to you so you can follow me as I teach. So I want you to hold on for me now as I share my PowerPoint presentation in continuation of South African Black theology liberation movement and the root of the Black theology. Black theology in South Africa and the roots of the Black theology. In South Africa, the umbilical cord of Black theology was American Black theology and liberation theology. As it has come of age, it has become not simply a church for Africa, but a church of Africa with its authentic Black expression of Christian faith. It is the foundation laid by Biko and later by Bosak that gave to Black theology in South Africa its unique place and set it apart from South American liberation theology. Biko laid the foundations for a solid grassroots Black consciousness in which Blacks could learn to assert themselves and stake their rightful claim. Black consciousness instills a critical attitude towards the world and how it undermines personal identity, well-being, and human dignity. It began with the awakening of Black consciousness, with self-affirmation, the re-evaluation of relationships with whites. Black consciousness did not just evolve in isolation, no, but should be viewed in conjunction with Black power, Black nationalism, Black identity, racial nationalism, and racial internationalism. The idea behind Biko's Black consciousness was the assertion of the dignity and identity of Blacks. It was the rediscovery of the dignity and identity of Africans as being central to the Black consciousness of Biko that set it apart from its American counterparts in the complexity of the integration process. In Wood's 1987 view, the idea behind Black consciousness was to break away almost entirely from the plus Black attitudes to and dignity for Blacks as a psychological attitude, leading to new initiatives. You know what? What made Biko's Black consciousness stand out was his invocation of specific values underlying the struggle. Values like the humanity, identity, self-respect, trust in oneself, responsibility, pathos, to name but a few. Under the apartheid system, Black South Africans were robbed, totally robbed of their human dignity, identity, and human rights. South African Black theology is not a homogeneous theological movement. No, it's not an homogeneous theological movement. In the case of South African theology, Biko put the accent squarely on African culture, which is made up of many diverse elements and a diversity of cultural expressions. He turned to African culture for a retrieval of Black identity. More, in 1975, his writer of 1975, exactly from page 5, believed that Black theology is what he called a situational theology. And in the case of South Africa, Blacks are not a homogeneous group, but coexist in assortment of situations. And that's what happened in most African countries. He tried to understand as clearly as possible who these people were, what their life experiences were, and the nature and cause of their suffering, which constituted the essence of an African identity. The vision of Nelson Mandela of a rainbow nation was grounded in the mutual respect groups have for the culture and language of one another in South Africa. It was a vision of the harmonious coexistence of diverse ethnicities born out of the struggle in which Africans were robbed of their dignity and African identity. The apartheid ideology imposed geographical boundaries of separation to maintain ethnic identity. It was out of this mutual respect for one another's complete freedom of self-determination that Biko argued that a genuine fusion of the lifestyles of the various groups would arise. The multiracial character of Black theology in South Africa is attributable to Bosak. He insisted that colors be included. He did not advocate an American Black theology that cast itself as a purely Black/white struggle. The essence of the Black theology that developed in South Africa was a struggle for human dignity and what it means to be a human being. What does it mean to be a humankind? An identity that set it apart from the American counterpart that focused on what it meant to be Black. What's the contribution of Alain Bosak to a South African Black theology? Let's look at it. The fundamental criticism against American Black theology is that it had lost its sense of what it meant to be African. It came to play its drum to a victimization mindset. What I spoke about of victimology, as it was not anchored in this God-given and created African cultural roots. Because Black consciousness instilled a critical attitude towards the world and how it undermines personal identity, well-being, and human dignity. It developed in a different direction from the American Black theology. Central to this was the idea of Steve Biko that Blacks have allowed evil to reign supreme by recognizing that Black people were not innocent victims. Bosa took this further and called it a pseudo-gospel. It developed in a direction expressed by cliches, such as Black is beautiful, in the context of white Black society in America. Apartheid was motivated by the view that different African ethnicities needed to be kept apart for their protection. It was a system that focused on creating and maintaining artificial differences between ethnicities. As long as distinctions between ethnicities could be maintained, apartheid seemed to be a justifiable solution. It is as if identity is determined by one's race, racial identity as identified by Bosa. And it is permitted to determine everything else in a person's life with an overwhelming intensity, leading to the image of God and human dignity being undermined and trampled underfoot. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here today to continue. Once again, this is Language Jaws, an academy of knowledge economy. I'm your digital educator. I call myself your digital professor. My name is Josephine. Thank you for following this my channel. Join me on Friday for the Friday Tonic. And next Tuesday, I'm going to continue my teaching. Have a very blessed week. Have a wonderful time. Thank you so much. I love you all. Honestly, I love you. Bye.